Okay. So if you remember, I was telling that we have prepared the basic configurations, that is like legal entity, calendars, and then like I have given a brief introduction about the GL structure, how to create, how does it impacts everything. So the crux of GL, or whatever the entire the finance and operations, it will begin with the creation of the main accounts, and then financial dimensions and the chart of accounts. So let me explain you what you mean by chart of accounts here. So let me take you to the example where I have explained about if you remember, I have explained about the P&L and balance sheet, right? Let me see if the same sheet is available or not. Yeah, it is Yeah. So do you remember this discussion like we had about P&L and the management reports? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So if you remember, in the management, these profit and loss or expenditure, income and expenditure, and the balance sheet, these are management reports, right? But while preparing reports, it is known that it is, I mean, if you see the balance sheet, it is very easy to find out under what is the balance under vehicle, and again what is the balance under machines, and what is the balance under accounts payable, sales, interest and loans and all. But rather along with this, for example, it is not under vehicle itself, you will be having n number of vehicles again. So in order to make it easy, like while preparing the financial reports, it is always better if you classify the accounts. Like I was telling, the financial dimensions, right? That will still that's like a subgroup kind of thing. Like you can classify the transaction based on the segment wise, but before that you will have to classify the transaction based on the accounts wise. For example, you'll have to let us assume that your business has got see, in general, any business will be having a number of transactions that is related to on daily basis, whatever they're doing, and these transactions get categorized based on the nature of the transaction. Like it may become like an expense, or it may become income, or it can become asset or liability. So based on the nature of the event of the transaction, then it can be categorized. But here in D365 or in any ERP, instead of instead of naming them the transaction name, we will here give it as a on serial number to identify the transaction whenever you see the report. So that we'll call it as a main account, which have already discussed, main account or ledger balances. So for example, let us take example for stationery. You will be having daily, you will have to record a number of transactions for the purchasing of stationery or selling of the stationery or anything. And if there is anything related to maintenance expenses, So like this, on daily basis, you'll be recording n number of transactions, right? But at the end of the day or end of the period, let's say for 1 month or a year, it is not easy for you to see the list of the expenses and name wise, or like to on in order to find out the to see the amounts. So here what we can do is, in any ERP, we can create as a group of main accounts. For example, like broad classification we have to do, like subgroups we can do it later, like again under maintenance expenses. Let us say if there are again three four small expenses which becomes a part of maintenance expenses, and these expenses, all the stationery maintenance and any cleaning or any all these the security, all these expenses, again it will become a part of the main expenses, right? So those main expenses would be like under we can say it as a direct expenses, income, assets and liabilities. So before getting to the small transactions, let us try to classify the transactions in a broader way. Like for example, profit and loss, so these two are the major reports. Under this, there will be n number of in profits, losses, or incomes and expenditures. Right. So here, what happens if you don't classify the transactions? So it will be difficult for you to identify the transactions, or else it will be difficult to read the reports. So for that purpose, here we will have to create a group of accounts. Here we'll call it as a chart of accounts. A chart of accounts is nothing but a group or set of main accounts, or we can call it as a ledger accounts as well. So this is a main purpose. You'll have once you make it as a group, like if there is something related to profit and loss accounts, the main accounts, you can create a separate group for this one. And if there is something related to balance sheet, you can create a balance sheet. So the reason being, if you create this chart of account as a group of main accounts, again these main accounts we can give financial dimensions to track the transactions. Again under financial dimensions, you can give financial dimension values like subgroups and all. So while preparing the report or while reading the report, it will be easy for you to pull the to know where exactly the transactions happened, or if you want to know the balances related to specific main accounts, or how the main account is linked. Whether, for example, if you just see stationery, you should be able to understand, yes, this falls under the P&L account. So it falls on. So for this, if you if you just define it as a P&L account, it will be confusion. For that purpose, we will have to give numbers here. That means for each and every account, one account number or series number, we can call it as a series number. So based on the discussion from the client, and you, or else if the client is already following any legacy accounting system in any other ERP, they might be following few certain rules, right? For example, uh, like let's say for profit related accounts or for incomes related, they might have used 1 lakh series, like 1 lakh to 1,50,000, and for expenditures 1,50,000 to 2 lakhs. So or it's like that, or else they can give like your 4 digits or 5 digits or anything as such. So all these main accounts will have to make it as a group. So are you getting what is the purpose of chart of accounts? Hello?
Yes, Srinivas.
Yes, Srinivas.
Yo, yeah. So this is a main. In general, we'll call it as a group or set of main accounts. That's all. So if you remember, we have a subsidiary. We'll call it as a subsidiary books of accounts, right? In Inter, if you remember, the accounts payable, accounts receivable, all these called as a subsidiary books of accounts. So it's like similarly, it works like that only here. Here also, if you classify the transactions and all. So in general, we'll call this as a profit and loss or any operating accounts. We'll call it as a operating accounts here, since on daily basis the operations happens and the transactions related to all this, it will be shown here. All right. So 1 minute. Yeah. So you for more information, you can just go through the blogs as well. In depth, you can get the lot of information. I'll share you the related links as well. So, but before that, I'll try to give you the overview how it looks and all. Okay, so you got to know the what is the main purpose of creating the chart of accounts, right? Hello.
Yes,
So are you able to see my screen?
yes, we can.
Okay. So before creating the chart of accounts, I'll try to show you how does it looks actually with the existing companies. Yeah. So this is a navigation under general ledger, chart of accounts. So under chart of accounts, again under this accounts will be there. Again under the accounts, chart of accounts. So this is where you will link the main accounts, chart of accounts, and main accounts categories and all. Let's discuss one by one. So I have just opened the existing company, which is a USMF. So if you see here, so these are existing chart of accounts they have created. These are available, like globally available, global chart of accounts. Either you can use this one, or else you can create your own chart of accounts for your the legal entity which you have created. So let us go to the India COA. These are these are available in the trial version by default. I have not created any chart of accounts here. Okay, so let us see how it looks here. See, if you see here, for bank account USD, they have given this series like 111011. By looking at this main account number and the name of the main account, you should be by this time you should be able to understand that something related to for assets, they have started with the one series. And if you see something related to all these assets, anything related to bank accounts, deposits, all this, they have started giving. See, and also you can observe the differences also, like 11101102, 110115. There is a five numbers difference here. The reason being why you while creating the main accounts, right? While you should give enough gaps between the main accounts. The reason being, in future, when if there is something expansion, or if there is something related to bank account USD itself, let us assume that you have opened 2-3 bank accounts under USD. Let's assume that you, instead of giving any gap, you have already created 110111 111 for bank account CAD, and after 2-3 years, you got one more account which is related to USD itself. At that time, if there is no gap, that number, whenever you create the main account for that particular bank account, right, it will be shown somewhere else. So it will not be shown under here. So it will be difficult for you to. That means like all the accounts will get clumsy. It won't be in a serial wise. Then there is no point of creating the chart of accounts, right? What is the main purpose? Once you have a proper number series, that cannot be predicted. But still, if you try to give at least certain gap between account to account, like 5 numbers or 10 numbers, depending on the transactions you might have seen in your existing company. Let's say, for example, you have been running the business last 5-10 years, and you have gone through all the legacy accounting system that is being followed by the company. So you know how many accounts they are used, and in case if they are not used for very long time also, you can just give some gap between any two account numbers. So try to observe here, for each and every account they have given 5 digits as a gap. They might have, and if you see here, from bank account GBP to bank account payroll, they have given 10 numbers as a gap. Maybe they are expecting more accounts to be opened, something related to GBP in future. That's why they might have given 10. And if you see again under payroll to petty cash, they have given 20 numbers as a gap. So that means they're expecting 20 more accounts to be opened in the future. It may happen or may not happen, depending on the future transactions. So, but still, they have ensured that in case if there are more number of accounts possible to get created in the future, it should be visible between 160 and 180 itself, or else it will be shown somewhere else and it will be very difficult for them. Again, if you see, for every accounts, like under petty cash, they have given 10 differences, 10 number as a difference. So maybe like in case if there are 10 multiple expenses, if they want to create different main accounts, once they create, those accounts will be shown between this 180 and 190. So like this, this is a system they have been followed in the India. And if you see here, all these, like one series I told you, right? By looking at the name itself, you should be able to understand this is something related to asset. And our account type also you can see. Let's scroll down and see. See, properly they have given series for each and every account. Yeah. So if you observe here, from 2 series, they started giving it for liabilities, accounts payable. So that means it is very clear that they have used 1 series for assets, 2 series for liabilities. In the same way, see if you see your commission payable, freight payable, all these are liabilities only, right? Again, they have given same gaps like predicting the future main accounts that to be created. So like this, every and what happens, like in few countries, there might be having certain requirements if they wanted to create, or else if anything something related to statutory reports. If based on the requirement of the statutory reports also, this sort of accounts can be customized as per the requirement. Let us see, like 2-3 countries, how does it looks here. See, for the Brazil, if you see, instead of giving I think someone has unmuted. Can you just go on mute?
Miss Srinivas, actually, I have to drop off. I'm getting call from the client actually.
Okay,
Uh,
no issues.
okay, bye.
So if you see here, under Brazil, instead of using 5 digits or some 6 digits as a series for something related to assets, or since we don't understand the language of the Brazil, I'm not sure what is it related. But if you see the main account number 1.1, 1.1.1, so like this, they have customized. So let us see the Chinese how they are using. See here, if you observe, for total accounts they have given 1001, and later they started adding two suffixes like 01, 02, 03. So like this they kept on increasing, or giving the customization, like for the main account numbers. Let's see how does this French, and French looks similar. See, they just I think they've just followed some series for one series related to equity, and some two series related to asset. So, and India is, we have already observed, and the Japanese one, and the Japanese also they are using only 5 series instead of 6 series. They are using only 5 series. See, all this depends on the requirement of the client actually. So let us see how does Russia looks here. Yeah. So again, Russia chart of accounts is totally different. If you see, instead of 5 series or 2 series, they have their number format itself different, like 0.000. So all this, like whenever you work for the client, if you get a chance to work for the Russian client, no wonder you will be asked to do main accounts, or you will be asked to prepare the main accounts based on the like this series, or it may differ again. So the client may you should be able to, if you explain the client you have this feasibility to create as per the requirement, then they will deliver the format. Okay, so did you understand what is the chart of accounts, and how does it looks, and how to create all these things and all?
Yes.
Yeah. So before that, let us also try to create a chart of accounts for the company which we have created. See, to create a new chart of accounts, just click on the new, and again under this chart of accounts, you can give as a short form. Under description, you can give full name. I'll tell you the main by main account mask. Yeah. So if you remember, I told you, right? It is nothing but a group or a set of main accounts, and also I have shown you under each and every chart of accounts how does the main accounts looks once you add the main accounts. So in order to so since we have to create a group of ledger accounts, right? So before creating the main accounts, the same like whatever the practice they have followed, right, by giving the number series to classify the transactions, let us also try to classify such or else give some number series. So for example, let's take some 6 digits. One lakh to 1 lakh, nine till 2 lakhs. Will let us try to take assets, and then from 2 lakhs. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Srinivas, we can hear.
Yeah. So, so let us assume that for our company, let us try to classify the transactions or the main accounts that we are going to use for the next 5 years or whatever the period that we are expecting to do the business. Like let us start with the 1 lakh to 1 lakh, till 2 lakhs for the assets related, and then the liabilities and the asset. So this should be the asset account should be created between these series. Again, if you remember, assets can be classified into short-term assets, long-term assets. Again, under short-term assets, we can classify depending on the nature of the transaction. So that's the reason. Let us try to give some, gap for current assets. Let's say some, 1 lakh. I think, can you go on mute, Prashant? So, from 1 lakh to, let us try to give for 100 accounts for the current assets, and then for the next 100 for long-term assets like that. So this is how we have to plan accordingly, like how to create a group of accounts or group of ledger accounts. So these are called as a chart of accounts. So once you classify the transactions, right, so it will be easy for you to pull any reports. In case you, while preparing the report, or if you want to just see assets report, you need not to enter the name of the asset. If you just enter 1 lakh to, or just 1 lakh to 1 lakh, till 2 lakhs, you will get the entire assets related report itself. So it will be easy for you to see the transactions. So that the reason, if you observe, I have given the range between the two assets and liabilities. It is very huge. You can ask me like, why is it required, like to give 1 lakh difference between the assets and liabilities? See, we don't know like how many number of transactions we are going to incur. It may be small or big, but if you give gap, so it will be easy for you to use that gap if it is necessary. If it is not necessary, hardly it makes a difference. The number will still lie in your system. It can be used or it cannot be used. That is, there is no such problem. But if you don't give enough gap, that is where the problem arises. Even if you give, 2 3 numbers difference, also not a big deal. But if there is a gap, let us assume that there is no gap between the assets and liabilities. All right, all the, you have just given only one number gap. uh, After 1 year or 2 years, you are trying to create one asset account. Since there is no gap, whatever the asset account that you are going to create, that will come after this any other P&L accounts. So it will be very difficult. If it is like one or two, it's okay, then you can while preparing the assets report, you can just enter 1 lakh to 1 lakh 999, and then comma these two accounts. But if, let us assume, you have about n number of hundreds of accounts, then while preparing the reports, it looks very clumsy and it is practically not possible to prepare any reports or to observe any reports. That's the reason, try to give more gaps between each and every account. Let, for example, you might be using only one bank account for all transactions, but still try to give 10 to 20 numbers between each and every bank account. So like that, it will be helpful for you. Since the reason being, any business, whatever you're going to do, right, that you'll be doing with the prediction of at least with the hopefully that you'll be doing it for for a long term only, right? So you don't know whether in case if your business is doing good and if you want to expand it to a number of countries, so within short span of time itself you will be asked to create n number of main accounts for each and every branch. So at that time again, you cannot close the books of accounts and recreate a chart of accounts by giving the long gaps, right? So instead of doing such hectic tasks in future, better try to give now itself while creating the bank accounts or while creating the main accounts. Okay, so this is the main purpose, and let us try to create the same assets or the main of accounts under the group chart of accounts. Let us see how does it looks once we create it. Yeah. So this is how you have to create the main accounts. I'll take a separate topic on how to create the main accounts, and each and every field can be explained there again. So let me also try to create. So if you remember, we have decided to create assets between these series only, right? So let me try to give. This is for asset. Let's give it as a cash, the main account, and the name as a cash, and the main account type. Since cash falls under the asset, right? So let us give it as an asset. The main account category. Yeah. So even this also you can plan accordingly as per the legacy accounting system, whichever you're following. If it is required, you can give. If it is not required, it is not, as per the requirement of the client. So for the timing, let us not create the main account category. We will give it that later. And if you see here, after giving the cash and selecting the main account type as an asset, right? By default, it is showing as a debit. So like when depending on the nature of the ledger account, right? Debit or credit, it will be shown here default. But if you want, you can change it. If it, but in general, cash means asset, right? Where if there is an increase in the asset, it should be debited as per the nominal rule. Sorry, as per the real account rule. So that is not the only reason. In general, depending on the nature of the main account type, debit or credit gets selected. So balance control, this we will discuss it later. And the opening account, suspended. So all these topics, whether if you're using this for consolidation, currency, all these things will later. For the timing, you just understand how to create a main account. For that, we have cash. We have given
We lost you, Srinivas.
let me save. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Hello. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Srinivas, you're audible now.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So till where? Okay. Till where you're able to listen me?
Just the last few seconds of the recording we haven't didn't hear.
Okay. So I was okay. So I was just telling that how to create the main accounts. I have just created one main account for the cash. So let me try to create more such accounts. So can you see my screen now? Is it visible?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So we have created for asset, right? So let me try to create for liabilities. Liabilities we have given 2 lakh series. So let me give the same. Since loan falls under the liabilities. See, the moment I have selected the liability, the debit or credit default, by default, it is shown as a credit. That means whenever there is an increase in the liability, it will be credited, right, as per the rules. So it will be shown here, but later you can change as per the requirement. So let me 3 series. Let's say there is something related to fixed asset anyways, that we will not create here. Yeah. So let me try to create something related to cash receivable as a balance sheet item. Revenue. Just create as a sales revenue or something related to any specific product. See, uh, the moment I selected it as a revenue, it is showing as a credit. And if you feel that this doesn't falls under anything related to revenue or any expense, you can select it as a P&L account as well. Or else if you know it is it is a revenue account, you can just create it as a revenue account.
But Srinivas, if
Then for the
we yeah, one question, please.
Mhm.
So if we consider it as if we take a PNL account, then while posting the entries, where will it go?
Mhm. Yeah. So by default, it will go as a credit itself, but later there you can change it manually. It is not
I mean,
the
when we take a
whatever
PNL
the
account,
debit or credit. Uh, See, P&L
Anything?
account
Yeah.
will show based on the, see, before, see, P&L account will show based on the transactions that you're posting, right? That means while posting the journal entry,
Mhm.
you have that flexibility to select which account to be given for the debit and which account to be selected for the credit. So based on that only, the P&L account will get prepared. This is just for namesake. I can say that this is just for the namesake. That means whenever you post any, for example, you want to record any transaction that is related to biscuit sales, okay? So while posting the transaction, you will select the main account as a this one, right? The moment you select this one, it will show as a credit. But there manually you can change it if it is required.
Mhm.
So
But
that while
ultimately,
posting the journal entries,
we should be
mhm,
knowing where exactly it should go. Or,
that is
right?
what, right?
Yeah. Okay.
See, ultimately you should know that.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you are just trying to give out, give whatever knowledge you have related to whether it falls
Yes.
under the revenue expense. Because sometimes what happens, the same biscuit or the sales accounts, it may become expense also. See, for example, if you want to do any reversal transaction, the asset can become credit, instead of giving it as under asset, you might want to give it for under credit also, right? While doing the reversal transactions. So by default, you cannot give the same rule that the moment you select the asset, it should shown only under debit. It is not like that. At times we'll have to reverse the transactions. So there, at that time we cannot use the same logic. So depending on the nature of the transaction, you will have to decide whether it should be under debit or credit. For
Okay.
expenses, let us try to give one more the expenses account. See, the moment I have selected the maintenance expenses and as expense, right, it is showing as a debit. The reason being debit all expenses. See, whatever the logic you told, right, that will still apply here. But most of the time, you see, it will try to reduce your job while, for example, you are trying to post an expense journal entry. By default, if it shows as a debit, at least that step can be skipped, right? You need not to select that it should be under debit.
Debit or credit. Yes.
Correct. So at least it will see all the fields whatever it is available while creating the main account, right? Main account category, debit credit requirement, the balance control, all these things. It will help you to reduce your time, or it will help you to while preparing the ledger balances, or while preparing the pulling the reports. So that's the reason we'll have to I'll explain you how does it helps. Like we'll try to pull a few reports, then you'll understand actually.
Okay.
Okay. So for the timing, let us we have created a few main accounts, right? See, either you can create main accounts by this in this way, or else there is one more way. Like you can just come to the general ledger under chart of accounts. Again under accounts, just come to the main accounts. Yeah. Let me try to create one more account, bank account. So if you remember, for 1 lakh, we have given cash account, right? So I'll try to create one bank account. Just search as a gap, and I'll try to create one bank account. Can you hear me now? I think I got some beep sound, some network issue should be there.
No, Srinivas, you're audible. It's clear.
Hello. All right. See, if you remember, I'm giving 100 numbers as a gap. From 1 lakh, we have created cash account, and 1 lakh 100 as a bank account ICAI. So here, since it falls under an asset account, I'll try to give it as an asset. And by default, since asset comes under, whenever there is an increase in the asset, it will get debited. So that's the reason it got selected. If I give it as a save, go back to the chart of accounts that we have created just now. Yeah, this is our BRT COA, right? But as well, I'll try to add that one. One minute, guys. We have just I have just created one bank account, right? ICACI. I'm trying to check whether it is showing or not. Yeah. So I have just created this account, if you remember. Okay. Instead of giving you know 1 lakh 100, instead of giving like 10 lakh 100, I have not given one zero. That's why it was not showing for me. I'll try to give the series. Cannot edit. So that's the reason. Anyways, now it is not possible for us to do any changes once you create a main account. So not an issue. I'll try to give the same main account. But why it is not showing, I'm not sure. Yeah, under main accounts, I can see bank account as a ICACI. But here under Britannia share. Okay. Okay. Let me try to add it from here itself. Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah. So I have created one bank account, right? And I have given 100 numbers as a gap between the cash and the bank account. So in future, if there are something related to any cash transactions, and if I create the main accounts, those accounts will be shown between these differences itself. And again, between if I create any bank accounts, let's say like in future, if I want to open main accounts, like 10, 20 accounts, the next series you can use like 102, 103, like that. Then it will be easy for all the bank accounts whatever you are going to create for the next 5 years, right? All those series accounts will be shown between the year itself. So this is how it looks once you create the chart of accounts. So like this you try to create n number of chart of accounts, and when you try to classify the transactions, then it will be easy for you to create. All right. So so you understood it. How does it looks once you create the main chart of accounts?
Yes, Renu.
Yeah. Now let us discuss what do you mean by main account mask here. So if you remember in financial dimensions also, I have explained there is something related to mask. Mask is nothing but the format. Since here you have selected, since we have decided that 1 lakh to 1 lakh 5 nines, it should be under assets, right? Let us assume that you instead of this one, you need something, or if you want alphanumeric for assets A, okay. So your justify, always remember. Hello, I hope you are able to hear my voice, right?
Yes, Renu, we can hear now.
Oh, okay. So did you lost somewhere because I just got some beeps on it?
Yes, we just heard you saying it can be alphanumeric, and you started with A, and after that we lost you.
See, I have just created. Let us assume that instead of following this series, you want to create a main accounts by using certain series, like alphanumeric combination, a and a 1 5 series for assets accounts. How do you define this one in Dynamics 365 to make it as a mandatory while creating the main account? For example, in future, if someone wants to create any main account, they should be able to know that the main account format should be alphanumeric itself. You cannot write it somewhere, or you cannot give them some instruction. So for that purpose, you can just give that instructions under main account mask. And always remember in Dynamics 365, hash represents digits and represents alphabets. So here we thought to give one alphabet and the rest of the digits, right? Let me give the same here. And how many digits have we given? given 6 digits. So let me give 6. Yeah. So it is clear, right? That I have given main account mask as a alphanumeric combination. So let me try to save here. Okay. So as per this instruction, whenever you're trying to create a new main account, it should not allow if you give only numeric, you only digits or only alphabets. Let us see whether it restricts us from creating the main account or not. Let me create a new account. Yeah. It says that 100102 must have a 7 characters. So what do you mean by the 7 characters? As per the main account mask, we are supposed to give 7 characters, which includes alphabet. So let me try to give one alphabet. We'll see whether it saves or not. Yes, it got saved. See, as per the main account mask, it allowed us only to create main account by including the alphabet. Let us try to remove this one. And let me remove this one. And if I save it here, and if you see there is no main account mask. Now as usual, while creating the main account, it won't throw you any error if you just give any numbers to your main accounts. So this is how you can restrict or you can customize as per the requirement, because client may ask you, is it necessary that I should give only main account as a numbers itself? No, it is not like that. You can tell them if it is required, they can give alphanumeric combinations as per their requirement. And there's one more option. Let us see what do you mean by account automatic account type selection. So even this is also nothing but the just giving the
Srinivas,
uh, yeah.
so actually,
Hello.
can we stop because I have office work as well?
Hello.
So,
Yeah, tell me, Pankaj.
uh, I mean, I want to say that can we stop? Like, I have some office work to attend.
I think we're going to end the discussion. Just 2 minutes. That's all. If you remember, here we have given one series for assets and two series for liabilities, right? Even this also you can just give under the automatic account type selection. So let me just give you, click on new, and one series we thought to give it for assets, right? Just select 1, 2 for liability. Let me save. So once you give the first character on the main account type as a 1 for asset and 2 for liabilities, it is nothing but while creating the new main account, if I just give 1, see, by default the main account category gets selected as asset. The reason being, under the main automatic account type selection, we have given 1 as an asset and 2 for liabilities. Any main account that you're going to start with 1, right, it will default be yeah. So it will be default ledger type will be shown as asset. That's all. So like that, you can give under automatic account selection, right? You can give 1 series for asset and 2 for liability, 3 for P&L, or 3 for important topic that is related to chart of accounts. Okay. Are you able to understand whatever I have explained?
Yes.
I'm stopping the call. I'm just stopping the recording.